There is an unseen current that flows through all minds, a divine intelligence that governs every thought, every decision, and every circumstance. Many wander through life believing that their intellect alone, their cleverness, or their cunning will protect them from the snares of others. Yet the truth is, the mind that aligns with the higher laws is the mind that cannot be outwitted. In this year, 2026, the marketplace, the boardrooms, the world of ideas and influence are saturated with cleverness, yet cleverness without alignment is like a ship adrift in a storm. The first dark rule is simple yet profound. No one can outsmart the mind that has recognized the invisible laws. Begin by realizing that your thoughts are not merely fleeting notions, they are forces that shape reality. A thought repeated, held with conviction, and charged with faith becomes a magnetic law that attracts circumstances in perfect accord with it. The cleverness of the world is superficial. It may manipulate appearances, bend rules, and achieve temporary victories, but it cannot penetrate the mind aligned with truth, with divine guidance. The person who knows this law becomes untouchable in the sphere of influence, untouchable in negotiation, untouchable in the silent war of wills. The second dark rule follows naturally. Observe the law of expectancy. Those who enter every encounter with fear, doubt, or the sense of being outmatched are already defeated. The mind that expects victory, that believes in its divine right to triumph in circumstances, automatically adjusts every thought, every intuition, every instinct to create the conditions of success. This is not arrogance, it is the wisdom of alignment. The cleverest manipulator can see your moves, can calculate, can anticipate. But if your mind is governed by the unseen currents of alignment, their cleverness is rendered impotent. The third dark rule concerns secrecy of thought. The world seeks to know, to probe, to undermine. It relies upon your openness, your transparency, your unguarded nature. Yet the mind that protects its purpose, that holds its vision like a sacred flame, cannot be outsmarted. Speak little, act deliberately, and guard the chambers of your mind. The fourth dark rule is the mastery of visualization. When a person can see the invisible, can perceive the result before it manifests, the external cleverness of others becomes irrelevant. They may attempt tricks, traps, and diversions, yet the mind fixed upon its true vision bends circumstances to itself as iron to a magnet. Fifth, the law of faith supersedes the law of reasoning. Many rely upon reason, upon logic, upon strategy, yet the unseen laws govern far beyond these. The mind that trusts the divine intelligence, that acts upon inspiration rather than mere calculation, cannot be ensnared by trickery or deceit. Sixth, cultivate the habit of conscious choice. Every thought is a seed, every word a germ, and every action a harvest. The mind that chooses its seeds carefully, that discerns between illusion and reality, gains a power beyond comprehension. Others may scheme, may plot, may seek advantage, but a mind that plants consciously will reap in accordance with law, and nothing external can reverse it. Seventh, understand the rhythm of timing. Every opportunity has its appointed hour, every challenge its divine moment of resolution. The mind that respects this rhythm moves as one with the invisible tide. The cunning of others may hurry, may pressure, may manipulate, but timing aligned with law cannot be rushed, delayed, or altered by human interference. Eighth, cultivate silence and reflection. Many are defeated by their own chatter, their own overanalysis, their own desire to display cleverness. The mind that rests in silence, that reflects in quiet, hears the inner guidance that renders deception powerless. Ninth, recognize the principle of non-resistance. Opposition, attack, and cunning of others are neutralized when met with the grace of non-resistance. Struggle against cunning creates entanglement. A mind that flows with law, that avoids being drawn into contention, remains unshakable. 10th, affirm with conviction. Words spoken with faith, silently or aloud, direct energy toward manifestation. The cleverness of others cannot negate the power of spoken alignment. 11th, guard the imagination. It is the forge of all reality, a mind that imagines victory, that rehears. Success in detail cannot be confounded by any human stratagem. 12th, cultivate intuition. The mind that listens to its inner knowing recognizes the subtlest signals, the faintest movements of intention, and responds before the opposition can act. Finally, the 13th dark rule, mastery over self, precedes mastery over circumstance. No external cleverness can overcome the mind that commands itself, that directs its thoughts, emotions, and actions with deliberate law. Self-mastery is the impregnable fortress. The person who achieves this cannot be deceived, cannot be manipulated, cannot be outsmarted, for the source of wisdom, guidance, and discernment resides within, ever aligned with divine intelligence, ever operating beyond the reach of superficial cunning, and ever capable of turning every circumstance into opportunity, advantage, and victory. The world presents its challenges in a variety of forms, yet the one who perceives these obstacles through the lens of divine wisdom sees not hindrance, but opportunity. Every difficulty, every misfortune, every moment of opposition contains within it a hidden lever, a secret passage that leads to victory. The first dark principle in this understanding is the reframing of circumstance. What appears as failure to the ordinary mind is a lesson, a step, a bridge, or a doorway to the extraordinary. The mind that grasps this does not resist difficulty. It studies it, deciphers it, and transforms it. The second dark principle is oceanal neutrality. Many are defeated not by circumstance but by their reaction to it. Anger, fear, or despair clouds judgment, blurs perception, and invites the manipulation of others. The mind that observes without attachment, that meets every obstacle with composed awareness, is impervious to deception. The third dark principle is accumulation of experience. Every trial, every challenge, every moment of seeming setback deposits wisdom, skill, and insight. The cleverness of the world may attempt to trap, to confound, or to mislead, but experience aligned with inner guidance is a reservoir of power no one can diminish. The fourth principle concerns strategic patience. The mind that understands the invisible timing of events waits, positions, and acts only when alignment is perfect. The world may rush, compete, and scheme, but the one who trusts law and timing possesses the ultimate advantage. The fifth principle is the art of leverage. Every obstacle contains within it a point of leverage. A weak link in apparent adversity can be used to turn the situation to advantage. Those who cannot perceive this remain caught in struggle, while the perceptive mind converts obstruction into propulsion. The sixth principle is the cultivation of insight. Quiet observation, reflection, and attunement to inner guidance reveal patterns invisible to the casual observer. In every challenge lies a code, and the mind aligned with law deciphers it effortlessly. The seventh principle concerns ability. Stubbornness is the ally of the deceiver. Flexibility and creativity are the tools of mastery. A mind that bends without breaking, that adjusts without compromise, transforms every opposition into a stepping stone. The eighth principle is confidence rooted in law, not in intellect. Many rely upon cunning, charm, or strategy. These are temporary shields. The one who trusts in alignment, in unseen guidance, in the law of cause and effect, moves without hesitation, undisturbed by the cleverness of others. The ninth principle is the power of constructive imagination. When faced with a challenge, envision its resolution vividly and repeatedly. See the obstacle as already transformed, already yielding advantage, and the external circumstances will bend in accordance with this vision. The 10th principle is secrecy of intent. Just as a magician hides the workings of a trick, so must the master conceal strategy. Those who reveal plans are vulnerable. Those who act with discretion cannot be anticipated or countered. The 11th principle concerns the principle of action. Inner alignment without outward expression is incomplete. The mind must act in harmony with insight, timing, opportunity. Action guided by law cannot fail. It transforms challenge into conquest. The 12th principle is the cultivation of gratitude for every obstacle. Gratitude shifts perception from limitation to empowerment, from fear to resourcefulness. When obstacles are embraced as allies, not enemies, they lose their power to confound. The 13th principle is the understanding of subtle influence. Often, opposition is a mirror, reflecting weakness, fear, or indecision. The mind that perceives this can project confidence, decisiveness, and clarity, neutralizing attempts at manipulation. The 14th principle is the integration of knowledge. Each obstacle teaches, each challenge instructs. The mind that assimilates lessons, rather than resists them, accrues wisdom and influence. The 15th principle is the use of obstacles as training. Just as gold is purified by fire, the mind is sharpened by adversity. The one who embraces this becomes a strategist, an alchemist of circumstance, a master in the arena of unseen power. Finally, every obstacle is a portal. The mind that understands the rules, that perceives the invisible currents, and that acts in alignment with law turns every impediment into a secret weapon. The cleverness of others may attempt to mislead or obstruct, but the aligned mind sees through illusion, acts with precision, and transforms opposition into effortless advantage. Influence is not a matter of charm, negotiation, or cleverness alone. It is a matter of understanding the invisible forces that govern thought, perception, and action. The first dark principle of influence is awareness of the unseen currents. People act according to patterns, often invisible to themselves, and the mind attuned to these currents can guide, shape, and direct outcome. Without force. The second principle concerns presence. The person who projects inner certainty, composure, and vision commands attention, respect, and compliance. Influence arises not from coercion, but from alignment between internal authority and external perception. The third principle is the mastery of language. Words are more than sounds, they are carriers of vibration, shaping reality, perception, and reaction. The careful choice of words, reinforced by intention, creates responses aligned with the speaker's will. The fourth principle is emotional resonance. Influence is amplified by empathy, understanding, and the ability to mirror inner states of others, creating alignment without obvious manipulation. The fifth principle is strategic listening. Those who listen with discernment perceive hidden motives, unspoken intentions, and opportunities for intervention. The mind that hears the unseen conversation gains advantage beyond calculation. The sixth principle is subtle action. Influence often operates in invisible ways. A suggestion, a glance, a timing of movement, a nuanced gesture. The cleverness of ordinary minds may overlook this, yet mastery lies in subtlety. The seventh principle concerns the cultivation of authority without aggression. People follow the energy of mastery more than the voice of command. The mind that radiates self-possession exerts power effortlessly. The eighth principle is patience in execution. Influence is not always immediate, it is a slow weaving of intention, perception, and alignment. The mind that waits, positions, and acts in harmony with the unfolding moment creates outcomes far beyond impulsive action. The ninth principle is control over perception. People react to what they perceive, shaping perception shapes response. The mind that understands appearances, framing, and expectation commands influence naturally. The 10th principle is understanding leverage in social dynamics. Every group, every system, every hierarchy contains points of influence. The mind that identifies these and acts with precision can guide outcomes far beyond its apparent authority. The 11th principle is the strategic use of silence. Words can bind, silence can free. The mind that listens, observes, and waits often accomplishes more than one that rushes to speak or act. The 12th principle is aligning influence with law. Force may work temporarily, but the mind aligned with invisible law creates influence that cannot be resisted, manipulated, or undermined. The 13th principle is the subtle projection of certainty. Humans respond unconsciously to confidence projected with calm and clarity. The mind that embodies this becomes naturally persuasive. The 14th principle is the mastery of intention. Every action, gesture, and communication carries energy. When aligned with purpose, it directs circumstances, choices, and reactions toward desired outcomes. The 15th principle is the transformation of obstacles into influence. Opposition, misunderstanding, and challenge are tools. The mind that sees this and acts strategically converts resistance into cooperation, competition into admiration, and doubt into allegiance. Ultimately, the person who understands these hidden mechanics moves through the world as a force invisible, yet undeniable, untouchable by deception, and aligned with the invisible currents that govern all human thought, behavior, and result. The cleverness of the world cannot match the wisdom of law-aligned influence, for the mind that understands and acts with these dark principles becomes a master of circumstances, a guide of outcomes, and a presence that cannot be outsmarted. There is a force within every human mind that most never recognize, a subtle intelligence that governs, not only thoughts, but the very unfolding of circumstances around them. Those who ignore this power wander through life at the mercy of appearances, believing that cleverness, strategy, or the manipulation of others can ensure success. Yet the truth is far deeper and far more certain. The first principle of mental mastery is understanding that your mind is the origin of all manifestation. Thoughts are not idle or meaningless, they are potent seeds that carry within them the blueprint of your life. Every idea you hold, every image you repeat, and every word you speak sets in motion a chain of events that cannot fail to respond to the energy behind it. To those who have yet to perceive this, the cleverness of others may seem threatening, the schemes of rivals may appear insurmountable, yet a mind aligned with higher law is untouched by such illusions. Begin by observing your thought patterns. Notice the recurrent ideas that dominate your consciousness, for these are the invisible threads, weaving the fabric of your reality. A mind that fosters fear, doubt, or suspicion unknowingly draws into its orbit circumstances and people that reflect these energies, reinforcing a cycle of limitation. Conversely, a mind that chooses faith, clarity, and vision shapes its environment according to its inner decree. The second principle concerns the law of expectancy. The world reacts not only to what you do, but to what you anticipate, believe, and accept as possible. Those who approach every situation expecting defeat, confusion, or manipulation are already ensnared before any external event has occurred. The mind that cultivates expectation of success, opportunity, and rightful victory adjusts its perceptions, decisions, and intuition to manifest these outcomes. Cleverness outside of this alignment may appear threatening in appearance, yet it cannot penetrate the fortifications of an expectant, law-aligned mind. The third principle revolves around secrecy of thought. A mind that openly reveals its intentions, strategies, or ambitions exposes itself to subtle interference and manipulation. The intelligent person guards the inner workings of the mind, knowing that the unseen currents of LAW respond to clarity, focus, and confidentiality. Thoughts kept sacred, cultivated with purpose, and directed with unwavering attention become invincible, and the schemes of the world cannot anticipate, disrupt, or outmaneuver them. The fourth principle is the mastery of visualization. The imagination is not merely a plaything, it is the workshop where reality is forged. Those who see the result before it manifests are already commanding its appearance. Every obstacle, every competitor, and every attempt at cunning can be transmuted through visualization into opportunity and advantage. By holding the image of desired outcomes with emotional certainty, the mind magnetizes events, people, and circumstances toward its design. The fifth principle is faith over reasoning. While intellect and analysis are useful, they are subordinate to the invisible intelligence that governs all things. The mind that trusts in the guiding law, that acts on inspired understanding rather than mere calculation, becomes impervious to deception, manipulation, or superficial cleverness. Those who rely solely on reason find themselves outmaneuvered, for they engage the world on its own chaotic terms, rather than on the terms of law and alignment. The sixth principle is the conscious selection of thought. Every thought is a seed, every word a germ, and every action a harvest. Random, uncontrolled thinking is the soil in which limitation and confusion grow. The mind that chooses carefully, that directs thou, with clarity and purpose, aligns itself with success that cannot be thwarted by external cleverness. The seventh principle emphasizes the importance of timing. Every opportunity, every challenge, and every interaction unfolds in its appointed hour. A mind attuned to rhythm, to the invisible orchestration of events, acts in perfect harmony with unfolding circumstances. The schemes of others may rush, delay, or pressure, yet the law-aligned mind moves in accordance with the appointed moment, rendering opposition impotent. The eighth principle is cultivating stillness and reflection. Many fall victim to their own chatter, their own overanalysis, or their need to act prematurely. The mind that rests in quiet observation hears the subtler signals of intention, opportunity, and threat. In this stillness, insight arises, and the cleverness of others cannot anticipate or penetrate the calm of deliberate awareness. The ninth principle involves non-resistance. Attempts at interference, deception, or challenge from others lose their power when met with composed neutrality. The law-aligned mind does not struggle unnecessarily. It flows around obstacles, redirects opposition, and transforms interference into momentum. Struggle against cleverness only binds energy, while non-resistance directs it toward manifestation. The 10th principle emphasizes affirmation. Words spoken with conviction, clarity, and faith carry force. These affirmations direct energy in alignment with law, and the cleverness of the world cannot counteract a mind that regularly affirms its inner certainty and purpose. The 11th principle is mastery of the imagination. Just as the mind creates visions of limitation, so too can it create visions of triumph, influence, and abundance. By rehearsing success, victory, and unassailable positioning in imagination, the external world bends naturally to the internal blueprint. The 12th principle is the cultivation of intuition. The mind attuned to inner guidance perceives faint currents, subtle warnings, and unspoken intentions of others. This intuitive perception allows for preemptive adjustment, so that no scheme, trick, or cleverness of others can dislodge the law-aligned mind. The 13th principle is mastery over self. Self-command, the ability to direct thoughts, emotions, and actions deliberately, is the foundation upon which all external invincibility rests. Without this mastery, cleverness outside oneself can appear threatening. With it, one becomes a fortress, unassailable and clear, moving through the world with certainty and influence. Each of these principles, when observed, practiced, and internalized, creates a mind that is invulnerable to superficial cunning, deception, and competition. The cleverness of others becomes irrelevant in the face of alignment, intention, and inner law. The individual who understands these invisible rules sees clearly, acts decisively, and commands circumstances effortlessly. For the power of L. Awe within the mind is far greater than any external manipulation, and when properly directed, it transforms life into a series of victories, advantages, and manifestations that unfold naturally, effortlessly, and inevitably. The world presents its obstacles in countless forms, yet every difficulty, every challenge, and every seeming setback contains within it a hidden opportunity for those who understand the laws that govern reality. The first principle of turning obstacles into secret weapons is the art of perception. Most people see only the surface, the appearance of difficulty, and react with fear, frustration, or avoidance. The enlightened mind looks beyond the surface, discerns the underlying pattern, and identifies the leverage hidden within the obstacle. What appears to be a block is often a bridge to a greater advantage if approached with understanding and awareness. The second principle is emotional neutrality. Reaction based on fear, anger, or impatience clouds judgment and blinds one to the hidden possibilities within a challenge. The mind that remains calm, observant, and measured sees clearly the points of opportunity that others overlook. Emotional equilibrium transforms apparent adversity into a tool for growth and success. The third principle involves accumulation of experience. Every challenge carries a lesson, every setback provides insight, and every unexpected turn of events enriches the mind with knowledge and discernment. The cleverness of others may create difficulty, yet the mind that gathers wisdom from each encounter becomes more prepared, more perceptive, and more powerful with every experience. The fourth principle is strategic patience. Many attempt to overcome obstacles by force or haste, yet the law of timing governs all events. There is a natural rhythm in every circumstance, and the mind aligned with this rhythm acts with precision at the appointed moment. Patience is not passivity. It is the deliberate positioning of oneself to maximize advantage, while allowing circumstances to unfold according to law. The fifth principle is the art of leverage. Every obstacle contains a point of leverage, a weakness, a hidden advantage. The mastermind identifies this point and applies effort strategically, converting opposition into propulsion. What might crush the unprepared mind becomes the instrument of triumph when insight and timing are combined with action. The sixth principle is cultivating insight. Quiet observation, reflection, and attunement to the inner guidance reveal the patterns invisible to the casual eye. The obstacle is no longer merely a problem, it becomes a coded opportunity to test skill, apply wisdom, and demonstrate mastery. Those who act without insight may struggle endlessly, while those who observe, reflect, and understand act decisively and effortlessly. The seventh principle is adaptability. Rigid thinking, stubbornness, and attachment to preconceived plans are the traps that allow external cleverness to dominate. Flexibility in thought, creativity in approach, and willingness to adjust strategy transform the obstacle from an enemy into an instrument of advancement. The eighth principle is confidence rooted in alignment with law. Many rely upon cleverness, manipulation, or superficial tactics, but these are temporary and fragile. The mind that trusts in higher guidance, law, and principle moves with certainty, unaffected by the scheming of others, turning apparent disadvantage into inevitable success. The ninth principle is constructive imagination. The obstacle is a canvas upon which the mind projects its desired outcome. By envisioning the obstacle as already transformed into advantage, the mind magnetizes circumstances, people, and events toward this vision. The 10th principle is secrecy of intent. Just as a skilled magician hides the workings of a trick, the mind that keeps its strategy concealed prevents interference, manipulation, or preemption. Those who reveal their plans or display their strategies are vulnerable, while the disciplined mind acts silently, yet with decisive effect. The 11th principle is aligned action. Insight and perception without action produce no results. The mind that observes, plans, and understands must also act in harmony with opportunity and timing. Each move, each effort, and each decision must follow the law of alignment to transform the obstacle into advantage. The 12th principle is gratitude for every challenge. Gratitude NGE's perception, transforming obstacles from threats into allies. By embracing adversity as a necessary component of growth, the mind neutralizes fear and amplifies creativity, resilience, and strategic thinking. The 13th principle is the understanding of influence. Often, opposition is not merely external, it reflects hidden weaknesses, fears, or misconceptions within others. The mind that perceives this can shape circumstances, redirect resistance, and convert potential adversaries into cooperative forces. The 14th principle is the integration of knowledge. Every challenge contains lessons that, when assimilated, compound wisdom, insight, and foresight. The cleverness of others may attempt to create confusion, yet the mind that integrates each experience transforms knowledge into power, making every subsequent obstacle easier to navigate. The 15th principle is the use of obstacles as training. Just as fire refines gold, adversity sharpens perception, strengthens intuition, and develops strategic thinking. The mind that embraces challenge as preparation for mastery gains an advantage over every competitor, every antagonist, and every circumstance that seeks to impede progress. The 16th principle is the cultivation of patience under pressure. Many are rushed, compelled, or forced into reactive behavior by the cleverness or cunning of others, yet the one who maintains composure sees the opening that others cannot perceive. Patience allows the mind to act with precision, transforming apparent delay into calculated advantage. The 17th principle is foresight, the mind that anticipates. The chain reaction of events and plans accordingly converts potential setbacks into stepping stones. Each obstacle contains clues, signals, and indicators, and foresight allows one to act before the challenge fully materializes. The 18th principle is detachment from outcome. By focusing on strategy, insight, and alignment rather than being consumed by results, the mind maintains clarity, composure, and resilience. Detachment does not mean inaction. It means acting without the distortion of fear, expectation, or attachment, allowing law and circumstance to work in one's favor. The 19th principle is the cultivation of resilience. Every obstacle faced, every challenge overcome, strengthens the mind's capacity to navigate future difficulties with greater ease, speed, and accuracy. The mind becomes a repository of strength, experience, and discernment that no external cleverness can undermine. The 20th principle is transformation of resistance into momentum. Every opposition, every attempt to block, delay, or confuse can be redirected through insight, timing, and aligned action. The obstacle itself becomes the engine that propels the mind toward advantage, creating a flow that others cannot anticipate, disrupt, or counteract. Finally, the mind that masters these principles learns to perceive obstacles not as barriers, but as instruments of empowerment, as secret weapons that amplify skill, influence, and outcome. By observing, reflecting, and aligning with the laws that govern all manifestation, the cleverness of others, the complexity of circumstance, and the unpredictability of life itself are transformed from potential defeat into inevitable advantage, producing results that appear effortless, precise, and unstoppable. Influence is not a matter of persuasion alone, nor is it achieved by charm, cunning, or manipulation in isolation. True influence operates through the unseen laws that govern thought, perception, and action, and the mind that understands. These laws moves effortlessly in the world, unseen yet undeniable. The first principle of hidden influence is awareness of the invisible currents that guide human behavior. Every individual acts according to patterns, often outside of their conscious knowledge, and the mind attuned to these patterns perceives motives, intentions, and possibilities that others overlook. By observing behavior, energy, and subtle signals, the mind identifies openings that transform ordinary interactions into moments of strategic advantage. The second principle is presence. Influence flows naturally from the state of the individual rather than the words spoken. A mind that exudes calm certainty, clarity of purpose, and inner authority commands attention and compliance without coercion. People unconsciously respond to this energy, following the example of mastery rather than instructions or directives. The third principle concerns the mastery of language. Words are not merely labels for thought, they carry energy, intention, and direction. The careful selection of words, reinforced by focused purpose and emotional alignment, shapes perception, elicits response, and molds reality in subtle yet powerful ways. The fourth principle is emotional resonance. Influence is amplified when one aligns with the emotional state of others, reflecting understanding and empathy. This resonance creates connection, trust, and subtle alignment without the need for overt manipulation, allowing the mind to guide outcomes with precision. The fifth principle is strategic listening. Those who listen carefully, discerning what is said and what is withheld, perceive hidden motives, unspoken desires, and subtle resistance. The mind that listens deeply gains insight, allowing preemptive guidance of decisions, conversations, and actions, creating outcomes that appear natural to all parties involved. The sixth principle is subtle action. Influence rarely requires force. It operates through suggestion, timing, gesture, and nuance. The seemingly small movement, the well-placed word, or the silent adjustment can redirect circumstances far more effectively than overt effort, and the mind that understands this works behind the scenes while outcomes shift according to its design. The seventh principle is the cultivation of authority without aggression. True influence does not rely upon dominance or pressure. People respond to mastery that is calm, assured, and deliberate, following the energy of certainty rather than reacting to command or control. The eighth principle emphasizes patience. Influence is not immediate, it unfolds over time, guided by the rhythm of circumstance, perception, and readiness. The mind that understands timing waits, observes, and acts precisely, ensuring that its interventions are decisive, effective, and undisturbed by resistance. The ninth principle concerns perception control. People act in response to what they perceive, and perception is shaped by framing, expectation, and presentation. The master mind recognizes that by shaping perception, it shapes response, making influence effortless and unobtrusive. The 10th principle is leverage in social dynamics. Every group, system, and hierarchy contains points of influence. subtle pivot points that, when recognized, allow one to guide outcomes far beyond apparent authority. The cleverness of others may attempt to counteract, but the aligned mind finds the fulcrum that shifts circumstance in its favor. The 11th principle is strategic silence. Words can bind, reveal, or distract. Silence carries clarity, observation, and the power to influence without effort. By listening, observing, and choosing when and how to act, the mind exerts influence far more effectively than by constant engagement. The 12th principle is alignment with law, influence that defies natural principle. Pleasure is temporary and unstable. The mind that moves in harmony with the unseen laws of cause and effect creates outcomes that are inevitable, stable, and resistant to external interference. The 13th principle is projection of certainty. Humans respond unconsciously to confidence expressed with calm and clarity. The mind that embodies certainty projects influence naturally, shaping behavior, expectations, and reactions without apparent effort. The 14th principle is mastery of intention. Every gesture, word, and decision carries energy that directs outcome. The mind that acts with clarity of purpose channels intention through action, subtly aligning others and circumstances toward its vision. The 15th principle is the transformation of resistance into influence. Opposition, misunderstanding, and doubt can all be harnessed by a strategic mind to create alignment, cooperation, and eventual adherence. Obstacles and resistance are reframed as opportunities to guide, shape, and direct results. The 16th principle is awareness of hidden motivations. By perceiving the unspoken desires, fears, and drives of others, the mind can anticipate reactions and adjust approach, creating influence that is seamless, effortless, and difficult to detect. The 17th principle is timing of intervention. Influence is most effective when applied at precise moments, in alignment with readiness, perception, and opportunity. The mind that masters timing magnifies impact while conserving energy and reducing resistance. The 18th principle is subtle redirection. Rather than confrontation, the master mind gently guides thought and action, creating compliance through suggestion, framing, and nuanced cues, ensuring that outcomes feel natural to those influenced. The 19th principle is cultivation of trust. Influence cannot operate in the presence of doubt, suspicion, or inconsistency. By consistently demonstrating reliability, calm judgment, and alignment with law, the mind builds an invisible reservoir of trust that allows subtle direction without coercion. The 20th principle is integration of insight and action. Knowledge of human patterns, perception, and hidden currents is effective only when translated into deliberate, aligned action. The mind that coordinates observation, reflection, and action achieves results that seem effortless, precise, and inevitable. The 21st principle is anticipation of subtle consequences. Every interaction, decision, and word sets off a ripple of effects. The mind that foresees these consequences and acts with preemptive alignment shapes events and reactions in its favor, creating influence that appears spontaneous yet is guided by unseen mastery. The 22nd principle is cultivation of invisible authority. By embodying mastery, self-possession, and awareness of law, the mind projects an aura that attracts attention, deference, and cooperation without explicit effort. Those around it follow instinctively, responding to energy rather than instruction. The 23rd principle is resilience under scrutiny. Influence is tested through doubt, questioning, and opposition. The mind that remains unshaken, composed, and aligned retains influence, while others falter under pressure, revealing the impermanence of external cleverness. The 24th principle is converting conflict into alignment. Disagreement, resistance, and challenge are transformed through subtle guidance, reframing, and strategic interaction into cooperation and advantage. The mind that masters this converts potential barriers into tools of influence. The 25th principle is reinforcement through repetition. Subtle influence is strengthened by consistent signals, aligned action, and steady projection of authority, embedding perception and shaping response over time. The 26th principle is integration of observation with imagination. By perceiving reality and projecting the ideal outcome, the mind subtly orchestrates behavior and circumstance, aligning external events with internal vision. The 27th principle is cultivation of clarity in complexity. Complex situations, conflicting interests, and hidden dynamics can overwhelm the ordinary mind. The aligned mind perceives the essential threads, focusing energy where it matters, creating influence that appears simple yet is strategically precise. The 28th principle is the neutralization of manipulation. By understanding hidden mechanics, perception patterns, and the motives of others, the mind resists attempts to control, deceive, or undermine, turning potential interference into an opportunity for guidance. The 29th principle is the use of alignment over force. Influence that relies on coercion, intimidation, or pressure is temporary. The mind aligned with law, clarity, and subtle action produces compliance, cooperation, and outcomes that endure, immune to challenge. The 30th principle is the orchestration of circumstance. By perceiving opportunity, timing, perception, and human patterns simultaneously, the mind arranges events, interactions, and responses into a coherent flow that produces results as if by invisible design. The 31st principle is invisibility of manipulation. Influence is most effective when undetectable, operating behind the scenes so that others act in accordance with guidance, naturally, unaware of the subtle forces shaping their choices. The 32nd principle is the synergy of insight, timing, and action. Alone, each is limited. Together, they create influence that is decisive, precise, and unstoppable. The 33rd principle is the cultivation of calm authority under pressure. In moments of challenge, opposition, or conflict, the unshakable mind directs outcomes, shapes perception, and neutralizes resistance effortlessly. The 34th principle is continuous adaptation. Influence requires responsiveness to evolving circumstances, shifts and perception, and the subtle currents of human behavior. The mind that adapts while maintaining alignment magnifies impact and preserves control. The 35th principle is embodiment of mastery. Influence is not conveyed solely through words or action, it is projected through the state of being. A mind that embodies clarity, law, and authority radiates influence naturally, commanding attention, shaping behavior, and guiding outcomes without apparent effort. The 36th principle is alignment with the greater law. Influence that works against law, principle, or natural order is temporary and unstable. The mind that operates in harmony with invisible currents ensures that influence is enduring, pervasive, and unstoppable.